Okay, I'm recording. So what we're going to do is start with chapter 9. So I'm on lesson 2 of chapter 9. This chapter deals with start and stop services. Back in the day, we used service to manage whether a service was running or uh, not running. And then we had check config to manage whether a service started in a certain run level or not. Now that's all been merged into system control. So if we do list units, we can see everything that every service that we have on this machine. What's important to note is I don't know if I can see it here because it's so wide. Um, you can see that it's running, but we can't see whether the thing is a service or a target or a socket. I'll try to do that again. You see right here, this is a mount, a scope, a service, a service. Most of the time we deal with services or targets. A target is something you can boot to, like a certain run level. A service is just that, like the SSH server, the web server, things like that. So we can just list services if we wanted to. These are all services, or we can list targets. Target. So these are things we can boot to. We can boot to multi-user. We can do a graphical, which is right here. So those are the common ones. So that's how you would be able to list things that are there. If you wanted to, you could list sockets. I personally never had to deal with a socket in with a system control, but it is. We can also do something like is enabled. We can check if it's enabled. The important thing about this is I noticed, so we're going to check if SSHD is enabled. I'm going to check something that isn't enabled. I just gave a fake service name. But this right here is a good way to see if a service is running with an if statement. You can run the command and see if the return code is a 0 or a 1. If it's a 0, you know it's enabled. If it's a 1, you know it's not enabled. Now don't confuse enabled with if it's running. So you can do an is active to make sure it's running. And again, you can use the exit code to see if it's active. So if you're writing a script and you wanted to see if something's enabled or not enabled, run those two commands and then are enabled or is active, run those two commands and check the exit code. Guys, I've been using this a lot. This is actually a good thing when you're writing scripts. So we can also see both of this information is active and enabled by running status. Now, if you run status, you really can't check the error code because it's always going to give you a status. It'll be successful in the status because whether it's on or off, enabled or not enabled, it'll always return true. unless you have a fake service. So can we see if this service is enabled? Yes. Can we see it's active? Yes. We can also see stuff from the cron jobs. Chris, I wanted to ask you something. Have you played around with Fedora recently?
No, I have not.
They got rid of this file.
Messages.
Yeah. So when I do a status lookup, this is telling me the message is from there. So I guess you're going to have to use journal D to figure out the status of things. Look up error logs because they're getting rid of messengers. Uh, if you ever wants to know what's the future of Red Hat going to hold, go look at Fedora. All the changes they do there, they try them there first and come here. So guys, when you do this, if there's a lot more lines, you have to hit Q to get out, to exit. Otherwise, it's just going to keep showing you the lines for the messages. Well, this one was only, I'm seeing all the lines here, but I still have to hit Q to exit. So I'm going to run system control list unit files. Okay, so these are the actual files for the service. So I'm going to do, it's in a lib directory. I can't ever remember. Locate. This is the file that we're actually, so I'm going to do cat. So this is what a file will look like. Inside the file, it'll tell you the type of target that it's part of, a description, when to boot it, because some targets will load other targets. Um, what's going to come after? Uh, no, this is what is going to need this target. All kind of conditions. This is the directory that it's going to um, start everything in. This is what it actually is running in the background. What happens if it kills? How do you reload it? So all the information about that service is in this file. Get a little bit familiar with it. A few times I've had to create my own little file if you want some sort of service to run in the background. This is a good way to do it, creating your own system file. At that, I should have your machines booted up already.
I just did all on.
Oh, okay. So
Sorry, I didn't notice. Thank you.
you're welcome. I turned off the two Windows machines just to keep us fast. Um, no big deal. Okay. So stopping and starting a service.
Brian, what was the command you used to get the list?
Uh, the list of all the services would be
Yeah.
list. Okay, that's list of files that are part of the service, and list unit is listing the all the things that are running.
Thanks.
List units. Sorry, it's plural. And then you can, but you'll get overload if you don't put in the type. So if you're just looking for a service, just type service so you don't see everything. So guys, in theory, we should, when we start a service, we should do system start and SSHD service, but no one ever puts the service. If you do go here, it will tab complete. Now I guess it won't. Oh, there's too many. That's why. Yeah, there's too many. But right now, if we had a unique enough name that didn't all start with SSHD, then we could tab complete. So tab complete does tab through all those files in that directory. And those directories are I never could remember this directory, but this is the directory where all these files are located. So let me explain this. This is where the file is from when you install the service, it puts the file here. And when you say system control enable SSHD or SSHD.service, it's going to assume it's for your current run level, which is multi-user. So basically, it's going to do a link of this file to this directory. So basically, when you're booting into multi-user mode, it goes through this directory, looks at all the files that are in there, then starts those services. So if we look at this long, list long, I'm going to run the locate command. It's going to return all the files and I'm going to list them long. And I can see this is just a symbolic link to the actual service. So when we installed it, it installed the file here. And when we enabled it, it created a link into the directory of the service that you boot to. In this case, we're booting to multi-user. We're actually booting to graphical, and the graphical wants multi-user. If we want to stop a service, if we want to see what service requires, um, what the service requires to be running, you can do yeah, I have to look that up because I can't spell. List dependencies. I don't think it affects the output if you put .service or not, but right here, the dependencies for this service is these three things. No, it has no effect on it. I'm going to hit Q to get out of that. Okay, oh, this one is cool, guys. Masking and unmasking. Let's say a service is acting up and I need to turn it off and I need to make sure it doesn't come back on. If I just stop it, a service, and someone else comes along in the shift after me and reboots this machine, then at that point, the service will be back running. And whatever issue that I stopped it for still exists and it's going to cause a problem. Um, or they could just come through here and manually start it. I know we're all real good at documentation and we're going to document everything we do. So if they just read the documentation, they wouldn't do this, but no one ever creates good documentation. So what you can do is, so if you stop something and you don't want it to run, but you don't want it to uninstall it, you can
Disable.
mask it. So at that point, no one, even if they tried to start it, it won't start. So you haven't changed anything. You're just masking it off from running. If someone tried to reboot this machine, it wouldn't start this service.
That, that's new, right? We didn't have that in previous version, or like 6 or right?
Yes, it was there from the beginning.
Oh, it was? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I
I never
didn't
knew. I learned that from the book.
yeah, I didn't know it either. So this is
Yeah.
a pretty nice thing. If you ever remember, the website is down. This might have come that video website is down. This might have been a good thing to have. So you can unmask it so people can run it and not run it. Okay, so
That's not the same as disable, right? Because
no, disabled. What does disabled do? Let me ask you that, and let me go
it
back.
won't start after reboot.
Right, but what is it really doing?
It's disabling the service, stopping it and disabling. I
It's
don't know what else.
it's deleting the symbolic link.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's no longer in the folder of what that target wants.
Mm-hmm.
So what is masking do?
You just preventing to it doesn't delete the.
It
Oh, it
points
creates a symbolic link to dev no. Okay.
to dev null, which is your big bucket. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, a symbolic link still exists, but it points to dev null. And
Mm-hmm.
when you remove it, it it removes it from this directory. So let's test that. System control disable SSHD, and we're going to locate it again. And it's no
No such.
longer, yeah, it's no longer there. And if we enable it, so all this fancy command is doing is just creating a symbolic link in that directory.
The mask, right?
No,
Or the enable.
yeah, the enable.
Okay.
This is our directory under the Etsy. So when you start your machine or switch to a different target, those are the services that are running. And so all it does is take a link from this file, from this directory to this directory.
Mm-hmm.
When you install a service and it's systemd compliant, it creates this file for you. But I've done a lot of things on my own where I just created my own little systemd system control file that will start a service. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that difficult. Um, Yvette, I don't know if you were here at the beginning. I just went over a little bit about is active and is enabled when you do those commands.
Yeah, I remember those from the class and from the book, so don't
Uh,
worry.
the nice thing about that is you can always use it if string
Mm-hmm.
uh, if command to see if the return code is 1 or 0.
Mm-hmm.
So in a script you can do that.
Okay.
Oh, listen, let me do one other thing. I think I just Okay, guys, you know when you change a configuration file and you want to restart the service, and we do this. Now, SSH is a little bit different. It won't disconnect you. But if you restart a service, let's say your web server, and you change your configuration file, and someone was currently in a web session, it would restart that web session. So if you change a configuration file and you want to reload the configuration file but not restart the service because you would disconnect people, you have the ability to reload. So
I
that's
know, not all commands have that option, right? There's only certain command that have that reload.
right, like your
Yeah,
firewall will have a
yeah,
reload option. It all depends
yeah.
on the command. But this right here, most, if it has a service and a config file like a traditional service, it's going to have a reload.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's one of these small, not very big projects, it might not have one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go back. The lab. Okay, guys, I'm not going to go over the log files and stuff, but listen, look through that chapter. It's not very difficult. Preserving the system logs. I could very easily see on the test them asking you to back up your system logs. I could very easily see that you have to diagnose something by looking in the journal. So do 11, at least the first section, just so you know how to deal with the system logs. Um, as we saw a little bit of them there, but there's also a journey D command. Guys, I'm going to boot up RHS2. In the book, they have you deal with SSH keys. We need to deal with the networking because we don't have our networking configured. So I'm going to do the networking first. Okay, so I'm on RHS1. I'm going to do, if I can get my cursor to respond, host name control, set host name, and we're going to do RHS1. Eric, are you back? I'm just going to do example.com. Guys, the book has an @ symbol. You don't get the same results as what the book has if you put that @ symbol. I don't know if that's a mistake or what's going on with that. Um, so we're going to add an Etsy host. Guys, if I'm going too fast, let me know. I'm going to put 10.0.127.0.0.1 rhs1.example.com rhs1. Then 10.0.0.3. This is going to be RHS2 once we get it configured. Okay,
So setting the IPv6 like we did before.
no, well, this is fine for what we're going to do.
Okay.
So I'm going to save it. Guys, we have this command called dig to test name resolution. We have this command called host to test name resolution. We have this command called ns lookup to test name resolution.
The sorry, Brian, the second line is Red Hat Server 1 or 2? Okay, 2. Okay, cool.
Even in Windows, we have ns lookup. The thing is, if you mainly put something in your host file, those three commands don't test name resolution as far as your host file. They only test the DNS server. In fact, when you run those commands, they won't even use your own DNS client. They act like the DNS client and talk directly to the server. So they're taking your DNS client out of the loop. So you have this command get ent. You could do get ent password, get entire password database. So if you're part of a domain, it would get your local passwords and your domain passwords. Um, you can do get ent group to get all the groups, whether they're local or on a domain. But in this case, we're going to do get ent host. That will show you all hosts. You're hosting your host file plus remote host from the some sort of directory service. So if you want to test name resolution, they're saying test name resolution. This is not testing name resolution, like the book says. It's showing your Etsy host file.
Mm.
And it's also going to show you any directory services that you have as well. So it's an interesting thing that they added there. Now, guys, if we were going to let DHCP configure our IP addresses, it would put the DNS servers in this file, which is becoming antiquated. So if your DHCP server configures your network, then that will be configured in here. Now, it automatically added that when I changed the host name. Does anyone remember what program that guy says to configure the network? What was it?
It's
Yeah,
NM2E.
NM2E. The graphical NM2E and the command line is NMCLI.
Brian, it's NMTUI.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a graphical, yeah.
Okay, guys, you have that to play with on your own.
Yeah, I prefer the command line.
Plus, since I've played with it last, there's some other things that we can do to it. Okay, so guys, I'm going to do ipconfig. No, I'm not. IP adder. So this is the network card I'm dealing with. Normally it's ET80. So I'm going to do NMCLI connection add. Now I can spell connection out, but I'm lazy. I'm just typing con.
Also, we have a DHCP IP address right now, right?
No, sorry, I'm vaping. No, we have this virtual bridge that connects our virtual machines, if we had any, to the real network. But I crippled these machines.
Okay, but the ENS5 in your case is not set up to anything, right? So
Right.
we're using the bridge.
No, we're going to use this one because what's going to happen is I've crippled this interface. You know what I mean?
No, I know, but the virtual, if you didn't set the ENS5 right now, then you getting your networking from the bridge, the virtual bridge 0, right?
Well, yeah. Well, but there's no networking essentially. Right now,
Oh, okay.
there's nothing connected. And it's because
Okay.
I crippled this.
Okay.
I physically, it looks like it's disconnected. If you
Okay.
go here, it's off. That's all
Okay.
it is. Okay. Just so in class people don't start doing surfing the web and things like that, and they can stay
Yeah.
focused. So I'm going to add a connection. Now, guys, when you do the test, if they want you to call it static, you call it whatever they want you to call it. You know, because scripts aren't forgiving. It expects a certain thing. If you change the name, it's not going to work out well. So I'm just going to keep the same name, and I'm going to set the IP4 address to be 10.0.0.2. Please don't forget the subnet mask. I always do that. The gateway is 10.0.0.1. Guys, I'm using addresses that are appropriate for the network that I'm in. The type is Ethernet. Uh, the physical interface that I'm going to connect this logical interface to is called ENS5. So this is a logical interface, and I'm looking here at my physical interface. And the IPv4, guys, you notice I didn't put the V here. And I made a mistake, guys. Go back and fix GW. It should be GW4. So guys, when you're adding a connection, you can abbreviate this to IPv4 GW4. But when you look at it later, it's actually IPv4.addresses. So I can abbreviate IPv4.addresses to IPv4. So I'm going to do IPv4.DNS, and I'm going to point to 8.8.8.8, comma 8.8.4.4. And I want this to automatically connect when I boot up. And I'm going to change the, was it
Method.
was it IPv4 method or just method?
I think no. I think it's IP4 method. IPv4. Yeah, method. I think.
Okay, it'll give us a warning. Method is manual. Static will work there as well. I think we tested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, you have that method as well. So here's why we're doing this, guys. If you take this and you put it on the command after the IPv4 address, or if you mix up the order of this, it might lead the method to be DHCP. So just to force it so it's not DHCP, we're going to do that. So I'm going to do NMCLI connection show. And I can see that it's up and running.
Do you bring it up?
I didn't need to, but I can.
Okay.
I'm going to do this NMCLI
Yeah,
connection.
just to show it to.
Up ET8 ENS5. I could bring it up to or down. Oh, look, guys, here's something I was playing around with. I was setting up something. I could do that. Let's see if this will work. Did I call it something? Oh, it didn't. It was already down. Let me bring it up and I'll show you. Oh no, it won't accept the arrows that way. But guys, you can bring it up and down all in one. So if you want to bring it up and down at the same, down then up at the same time, you can use the and. If it's successful in bringing it down, it'll bring it back up.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to do nm connection show. And it gives me an abbreviated list of the connections. If I do ENS5, it gives me a very long list. So let's say I want to grep for IPv4. It'll show me all the things that start with IPv4. Okay, so I can do nmcli connection edit.
No, señorita. ¿Qué querés ahora?
Guys, give me 1 second. Let me exit this. Okay, so I can do nmcli connection edit ENS5. Okay, I didn't show this to you last time. So we have some help here. So we can do edit IPv4. No, go to IPv4 dot. So it's kind of like a syntax. And then you could do edit. Maybe not. Oh, change. And if you did something wrong, you can change it. Say we had the subnet mask. Hit enter, and it says leave it at manual. Yes. Type exit, back. Now that I'm at the very beginning, I can do save and quit. Guys, do you want me to do that again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we have this ability.
Edit NF5.
Okay, so we're going to edit the connection. If you remember the old net shell command, it's kind of like syntaxes. So if you want to play around with one of these things, let's say we want to play around with the gateway, we have to say go to IPv4.gateway. It'll bring you to that context. And
Cool.
type help, and you can see what you can do. We can change, add, whatever. So let's say we change. You make your change, hit enter, and then you can say,
You just did the same value, right? Okay.
yeah. So we want to get back. We can type save right now. No, we can't. We got to get back to the original context. We got to go back all the way back. That brings us to IPv4. If I did help here, I can say describe a property. Um, you know, there's all kind of things you can do at each context. Just type help to see what you can do.
And here you can do save.
No, I got to go back one more.
Oh,
Back,
wow.
go back
But
to
the menu give you save, so it wouldn't work.
Oh, maybe it would. But
Yeah, because you see when you did help, save was one of the options.
right. Yeah, so I guess you can go back to this parent level and do it. But I just went all the way back to the beginning and saved
Okay.
it. And then you could type quit to get out.
Cool. That's a cool feature.
Yeah. So we could do
So
NMCLI.
it's similar when you partitioning the disk, the menu you get.
Yeah, it's very similar to NetShell in Windows.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we could do NMCLI connection mod ENS5. You could do GW4 dot, give it a new gateway if you wanted.
Hey, Professor, I'm back.
Okay, I have this recorded, so you can review this section. The other thing we can do is NMCLI connection mod ENS5. I can do plus IPv4. Guys, if you're going to remove an old address that's wrong, make sure you add the new one first. It's not going to allow you to completely strip. You can't do a minus, then an add. You have to do the add first. So addresses. So we're going to remove, we're going to add. I'm just going to do it 5 for right now. And minus.
When I first set up Arch Linux, they had us do this, setting it up from scratch. You have to learn how to use this.
Guys, addresses only has 3 S's. And so there's, I can subtract an address or add an address. Eric, this is what you got to play around with, edit. That's a really cool feature. It gives you a lot more control. Okay. Guys, I'm going to change that back. So I'm going to, look, I'm going to try to do it in reverse. I'm going to do the negative first.
It didn't work for me. It's still pointing to the old IP address, 0.2.
Okay. Listen, when we change this configuration file, it has no effect on the running system. How do we make this change?
Oh, you have to connection up and down, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so until you bring it down then up, it's not going to have any effect. So guys, I'm going to show you if I try to do this reverse. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it worked. Oh no, it worked. Let's see if it... Yeah, guys, I don't think you can just strip out an IP here. So if you have a minus, you have to have the plus. I don't know if the order is important. So, okay. So, again, guys, if you can use this if you wanted, you know, it's there for you. I don't really need to go over that. So, everything is set on this machine. I'm going to go to RHS2 and do it over there. Is everyone with me? Any issues?
I'm behind, but I'm just watching.
Okay. Well, no, Eric, you can do this one command and you'll be good. Just run this one command.
Which command?
1 second. I'm trying to get my computer to respond. Okay.
Okay, that one. -5, EP, 4, 10. There's a space after DNS, right? Oh, there's a comma. Okay. There we go. Let's see. All right, I got it. No errors.
Okay.
I can't hear you if you're talking.
1 second. Give me 1 second. I think I pressed it twice. Yeah.
I should see that.
No. 1 second. I did something.
Brian,
Yeah.
also
Brian.
don't forget we had to reboot the Red Hat Server 1 2 for the hostname to take effect.
Yeah. 1 second. I pressed this twice.
Yeah, mine looks right. I have those two connections now. Or wait, I don't have the bottom one, the ENS5. You have a third one.
I shouldn't, but I accidentally hit enter when I showed you the command.
Okay.
Sorry, I was vaping and trying to talk at the same time, and I realized you weren't hearing me. History, grep for host name control. Do this, Eric. This command, not this one. This one. Did you hear me, Eric?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Host name set host name.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
vi etc host. You vi this file. And this is what you need to add these two lines.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, I need to add those. Okay. Oh boy, I think I know it's not going to work because I didn't do it as root. Let me try it. Yep. 1 second. I can copy and paste. I do this all the time on my machine where I don't do the command as root. Oh,
Where your mic is in relative to your keyboard, it sounds like you're slamming your keys.
I have a mechanical keyboard. Sorry.
I got my son one for I think a couple Christmas ago. I love that keyboard.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing now is membrane keyboards are dying and enthusiasts like mechanical. No one likes membrane anymore.
I have an original Sun keyboard that came from a Sun mainframe, an original mechanical keyboard. It's awesome.
Wow. If you have like an old cherry one from back in the day, people that will be worth something.
But this is pre-Cherry.
Ah,
Cherry didn't exist back in then. But the one I've got my son was a Cherry.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a big money sink if you want to get into that hobby. You spend a lot of money.
Yeah, but if you spend a lot of time on a keyboard, it might be worth it. So guys, I'm gonna vet remind us we need to reboot. So are you good, Eric?
I'm good.
Okay, so we're gonna reboot. Will, I'm hoping you're still with us. You're not falling behind. So I'm gonna jump into RHS2. Hey, Will, just pop something in the chat so if I know if you're still with us and caught up.
Is this going to finish today? This Red Hat boot camp?
Yes. Here's the problem with these type of things. The longer I draw them out, the more and more people disappear. So yes, we're going to end it today.
Okay.
Okay. So guys, I'm going to assign it as root.
Yeah, we've had like 10 people here before.
Okay. So can I go into edit?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to do 127.0.0.example.com RHS2 and then pretend 002 for RHS1.example.com. Guys, we only have to do this because we really don't control our DNS server. In most production networks, you only really need to add this line. If I was maybe setting up a cluster, I might add the other members of the cluster. So save this. Let me know when you're done.
I'm finished.
Yvette?
Yeah, I'm good.
Guys, I'm going to do an IP adder because in this environment, our NICs keep changing names. So we're 8. So nm CLI connection add connection name type Ethernet interface name ENS5 IP4 10.0.0.3/24 GW4 10.0.0.1 IPv4.DNS 8.8.8.8, 8.8.4.4 auto connect manual. Why do I keep doing that? IPv4 method. This is yes, guys. For some reason, it didn't bring it up, so I'm going to nm CLI connection up. What? Oh,
Mismatch Ethernet, yeah.
I have a typo. Guys,
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother repairing this because you can't change the interface it's associated with. So I'm just going to use the up arrow and change it. I removed it and then, guys, I don't think you can change the type or the interface it's associated with after the fact. Definitely not the type. So now I'm going to try to bring it up. Again, I could type IP address, but it's easier this way. So both machines are configured. Guys, do you want me to leave it here for a minute? Because our next step is to reboot. No one's talking, so I'm going to reboot. I think we might have lost Will.
I just have to keep my mic muted at all times.
I don't hear any feedback from your mic, so. Okay, so I'm going to go back to RHS1. Guys, you can play around with ping, test it, things like that. I'm going to go back to the RSS 8. I'm going to go back to chapter 10. That was chapter 12, guys. Chapter 11 is important. Don't skip it. It's just how to look at log files. So I'm going to sign back in as root. Okay. When you prep a machine, a Linux box, um, there's a whole section. There's a whole, essentially, I think there's a book. I have it on Google Docs. There's a whole book on my Google Docs for deploying a Linux system. One of the things that you have to do when you're going to duplicate an image, or if you're going to create an image for, hold on one second, I might have it here. Cat prep. Oh, I have my prepped image here, my prep script here. When you install a system and you boot it up for the first time and SSH is running, it creates server keys. Your user account and your computer account will both have SSH keys. If you duplicate a system, if I installed it and I duplicated this to a bunch of different machines and I didn't change the SSH keys, all the machines would have the same SSH keys. So before you deploy it, you need to wipe this. Here, guys, here's where I crippled the network interface. So all the machines you need to wipe out the SSH keys. So if we look at those, I'm going to list -long. These are my server keys. I'm going to do what Yvette said last time. Hit the D for directory. Here's my directory keys. For my keys. Here are my keys. So it depends on which type of system you're dealing with, but my server, every time I install or start SSH for the first time, it'll create these keys automatically. It'll create these types of keys, and RSA keys. Because you might have clients that might not be able to use RSA keys and might prefer these keys or these keys. So every time you deploy a new system, you start SSHD for the first time, it creates these keys. So I'm going to connect from this machine to RHS2. If I don't specify a user account name, it'll automatically assume I'm going to use the same user account. But I'm going to try to connect to the student account. Before I do, I'm going to do list all long d dot ssh. So in this, guys, you might not have this directory. If you haven't connected to anyone yet with SSH, you might not have this directory. Let me exit out of here and go back to student. Do the
I
same.
got that directory.
Let's do this as student. All long directory .ssh. I don't have an SSH directory for this account because I've never connected to another machine from this account. So I've done it from root, but I haven't done it from this account. So I'm going to SSH student. I don't really need to supply that because I'm supplying it. I'm signed in as student. This student account on RHS1 is different than the student account on RHS2. But I'm going to sign in from this student to that student. I can use the short name because I can resolve that to an IP. So what is it asking right now? What am I doing? I'm downloading this key, this key from the other machine. This system prefers this type of key as opposed to an RSA or this type over here. So I'm going to hit yes, and it's asking for my password. So before I do anything else, I'm going to exit out of here. So I'm back on my machine, my RHS1. Now I have that SSH directory. What's up with the permissions? Why are these important? You don't want anyone else looking at any of your keys. In fact, if these permissions aren't set,
Especially your private key.
yes, if any of these, if the permissions aren't set like this, for the directory, it literally won't use SSH keys. It won't trust your keys at all. So if you try to connect using keys and it doesn't work no matter what you try, look at the permissions of the user's SSH directory. We're going to cat. No, I'm going to do list long that directory to look at the file inside of it. It created a known host. So that key that I downloaded, the public key, it inserted in this file. So every time I connect to that other server, he's going to sign the packets with his private key and I'll decrypt them with the key that's in this file, the public key. So let's do SSH keygen. And it's asking where to save the key. I'm going to use just an RSA key. I'm not going to have a passphrase. No passphrase. So it created a key. If I list that directory, I can see there's my public and private key. Guys, what permissions does my public key have? Anyone can read it
Yeah.
because it's public.
Mm-hmm.
What permissions does my private key have?
Just the user, just you,
And again,
just the owner. Yeah.
if this isn't set this way, at that point, SSH won't use it. So every time I send a packet to another machine that we authenticated with SSH, I'm going to sign it with my private key. They'll decrypt it with the public key. So I'm actually going to sign it with my private key, then re-sign it with the remote server's public key. It's double encrypted. Because signing it with my private key is no security at all. What is that providing? If I sign something with my private key, who can decrypt it? Anyone with my public key. So there's no
Yeah.
security there. All that's going to do is identify that it was definitely me who sent it. So that's called non-repudiation. You can't deny that it came from you. So by signing with my private key, they're going to decrypt it with their public key, with my public key. So I'm going to sign it with my private key, then sign it again with their public key. Who can decrypt that then? Who can decrypt something signed with the server public key? Only the server's private key. So that's going to provide the security. Me signing with the server key, the public key, only the server can decrypt it. So the first layer of encryption tells the server who I am. The second layer of encryption provides the security so no one can see the packet in transit. Okay, so now I have my keys. I want to be able to use these keys to sign into the other machine. So I need to take my public key and copy it to a file called authorized users on the other server. Now in the past, we had to create that file. We had to secure that file by setting the permission. But now we have this nice command, SSH copy ID. I'm going to copy it to student for that machine. Now it's saying test it to see if it copied it properly. So it basically connected to the other machine, created a known host file, an authorized key file, and put my key in it. So I'm going to test sign in. If I list long.ssh, I can see I have an authorized key file. If I cat that file, there's my key. Where's it coming from?
Red Hat Server 1.
Right,
From a student, Red Hat Server 1. Yeah.
right. What type of key is it?
RSA.
Okay. So if I cat my key, if I disconnect from RHS2 and I cat my id.pub key, it's the same key. So pretty much copied the contents out of this file and added it to this file. Excuse me. Copied the contents of this file, added it to this file. Guys, if you have a bunch of servers you connect to, you might have a bunch of keys in here. So guys, I'm going to sign back in as root. One second, it kicked me out of the book. Okay, I got to turn on JavaScript back on. Let me try to refresh the page. Okay, while that's waiting, I'm going to sign in as root. I'm going to go into SSHD, SSH, then SSH. Guys, I'm going to hit tab twice here. I have two configuration files. Oh, this is right in the middle of me using the textbook. It expired.
That's fun. And remember we were talking about that last week?
It literally, I have to recheck it out. Give me 1 second. Okay,
What expired?
my textbook.
Yeah, remember, guys, we were talking about that yesterday, and then you I think, recommended that libgen from.
Yeah, you should have got
Yeah.
Libgen downloader.
I downloaded the book already.
I understand, but
Conflict of interests as a teacher.
exactly. Okay, so guys, I have two things. I can configure my SSH client here, or I can configure my SSH server here. So if it has a D at the end, it's configuring SSH server. So that's what we're going to look at. There are scenarios. Well, I don't want to say there are scenarios, guys, but script kiddies sit there and practice. They sit there and run scripts. They don't even have to be intelligent script kiddies. They can go to some relay chat and download a script to hack machines. What's that Shogun, guys? What's that? Has anyone have seen this website before?
No, not me.
Okay, Eric, Chris.
No, never heard of that.
Yeah. Where
Yes.
do you go,
Yeah,
Brian?
I use it. I use this all the time.
City.
Okay, listen.
We run our customers through here.
Yeah. Okay, guys, this website searches the internet for vulnerable systems.
Okay.
And if you have a vulnerable system, it will be listed here. You know how those people who have these IP cams and they don't know what they're doing and they're setting up IP cams? it's going to find all of them. You know, don't set up an IP cam and expose it to the internet, because you're going to be, your address will be listed here for anyone to watch your cam. If you have um, a port 3389 for remote desktop, they're going to, it'll list it here. Even if it's secured, it's still going to list it here. So this is going to let you look at, now, Chris, do you have a paid account for this?
I do.
Okay, see, if you have a paid account, which I don't have, I think you could see a lot more than what I can see on a non-paid account. So if you have port 22 open, this website is going to find it.
Wow.
And what's going to happen is they're going to do script kiddies, and they're going to attack your port 22. And so that's why you should use a non-standard port. So I'm back on my server. I'm going to do a find, and I'm going to do permit. Maybe not. I'm going to do a root.
Yeah, root. Yeah.
Okay, that's not the right one. So I'm hitting N for next. I'm going to do root with a capital R. Right here. Turn this off. Do not allow root to sign in. Force someone to sign in as another account, and then then switch to root. I don't know what the book says, because I don't have the book. I'm still in the process of checking it out. But there's other things you can change in here. That's definitely one of them that I would change. Don't allow root to sign in.
What file is that we're editing?
Remember, we have two files. This one configures your SSH client. This one configures your SSH server. Yeah, I'm not a vet. I'm not doing this for, here's
No,
how
no, no. When you explain the purpose, then I go, okay, okay. Never
listen,
mind.
okay, listen, but I had ports open at my house that showed up on this
Mhm.
website. So
Oh, wow.
at that point, I started funneling everything through a cloud provider, which I use SmartThings. So
Mhm.
so for you to get to my house, you have to submit your stuff to SmartThings, then my SmartThings hub retrieves it. So I don't have
Mhm.
any ports open at my house.
Do you
So
have to pay for smart things? Because I have an SSH. My stuff's open, so when I was at work, I was SSHing into my home network.
okay, go look at your logs, and you will see a lot of people from Turkey, a lot of people from Korea, a lot of people from China, a lot of people
Unshow.
from the no, go look at your logs, inside your logs on your Linux box, and you will see people trying to hack you. And the thing is, go cat.
Which log file should I look for that?
You're on mandate. What's
Bad luck
Manjaro.
messages. Bad
Manjaro.
luck messages.
And I might have reformatted since I was actually on location at work. So who knows?
well? I don't know what file you need to look at for your distro, but I'm looking at this one right here, and this will
Yeah,
tell you who's
that doesn't
attempt.
work on Manjaro.
Yeah, but you
That's
have
probably
to. But I'm sure it exists. You have to figure it out. But
I'll find it.
What's the name of the showdown.io? Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Bet's looking at her house. Okay.
Yeah, because I have a lot of smart things. Shit, like a lot of smart,
But so guys, while we're on break, I'll finish checking out the book. But oh no, I got it now. This is a file you need to configure the SSH server stuff in. Okay, you can dictate which keys you prefer. There's all kind of things in here. I'm not going to go over them, but you can change the port if you're going to listen to a non-standard port. Guys, 2222, you're not fooling anyone.
So what do you say?
You can change the port right here that you want SSH to listen on.
Yeah.
You also have to do that as well. Run that command if you're using SE Linux. 2222 is the same as 22. People know that. You could prevent password. So they have to sign in with a key. So you won't even accept passwords.
With Manjaro and Archbase, they just recommend Journal CTL. Journal CTL-U SSHD.
Okay, and I was telling Chris earlier today that Fedora, you have to use Journal D to look at the log files. But you can block password authentication, so it requires an SSH key. But you can run an option to force it at your SSH client if need be. Okay, guys, that is it for SSH. Let me go get this book. Okay, no, let's take a break. I don't think we have very much left. I think we have partitioning, and then I want to show you how to sign into a machine without a password. And then we're done with the boot camp.
I probably have to leave that at 1, just so you know. So.
Okay. So we'll get back here at. Guys, do you want to make us a just a 20-minute break? Is that fine with everyone?
I don't even need a break, to be honest, but you need it to get the book, right?
No, I need it to vape.
Oh.
Okay. He needed for the addiction.
Yes. Okay. If we're going to be honest here, I'm just telling guys, we'll have a 20-minute break. We'll come back at 12 o'clock, and then we'll probably finish by 12:30.
Okay.
That sounds perfect.
Okay. I'll see everyone in 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Me too.
Professor, I can't hear you if you're talking.
I'm not talking. Sorry, I wasn't talking. I was waiting for people to get back. Are you back, Chris?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Will, you haven't responded in a while. I'm going to assume you're back. Okay, guys, this chapter covers partitioning and um, archiving. So we're going to cover tar first. Guys, tar by default doesn't compress. So we can create a tar file, which is kind of like a backup, which tar stands for tarballing. Tar-c is create a tar file, F for file, and we'll just put it in our home directory, which is my current directory. I'm going to call it etc.tar. And I want to compress, or I want to tar the etc directory. So the first argument is your file. Right before it, if you're putting all of your options together, right before it has to be the F, because that F stands for the name of the file. So, and the third argument is what you're going to tar. Now, at this point, there is no compression whatsoever. Um, and there's my tar file. I could provide compression. I could say um, Z for lowercase z for using gzip. And if I look at that, I can see it's a lot smaller. So tar just archives. Gzip is used for compression. If I wanted to, I could use bzip and use a lowercase j.
If you want to do it in one command, right?
If you want to do it in one command.
You use the -j. Okay.
Right. It's just using a different compression technology. And you can see that bzip makes it smaller. Guys, there's other ones that make it even smaller. I can't remember. There's some obscure ones that makes it even smaller. But I'm just going to stick with that. Guys, when I do this, I always put V for verbose so you can see what's going on. Same thing, nothing's really changed. So the order of these is not important. As long as the file name comes after F, it could be fine. I could do something like this. No, I can't. Something like that, and that would still work. I could do C. I could do it like this, and that would be the same. So the orders of these switches are not important, other than F right before the file name. To extract it, I want to change the C to an X. Sorry. I'm just going to extract it to the same directory. Did I not make the file? Oh, wait. Okay, one thing I want to do, guys, when I do the create and I'm using a compression technology, I could kind of indicate that compression technology by putting a .gz after it.
Yeah, I was going to say something. Yeah, because
Okay.
then you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know what type of compression I'm using. So if I want to extract it, I know I'm using gzip, so I want to put the Z here. If this is B2, I would know I want a J. And there I just extracted it to my current directory. If I wanted to extract it into Etsy, because it removes the leading, if I wanted to extract this back into the directory it really belongs, I would do CD here and then run this command. I'm not going to actually run it. You know, so this, I'm in my current directory where the directory where it needs to be before I extract it. Okay, guys, I'm just moving ahead in the book.
This seems kind of like the beginner Linux class a little bit.
It is. It is. This is what it's part of. Okay, guys, I'm going to go to my home directory. Now I'm going to show you how to copy from here to another machine. While I'm on the subject, guys, here's my PowerShell. This command is in Windows as well now. How many people have installed WinSCP? You don't really need it anymore because you have that command right part of Windows now. You also have SSH. So be aware that you don't need to install PuTTY or WinSCP because you can just install the SSH commands directly in PowerShell. So I'm going to copy a file from here to my other machine. So I'm going to secure copy. Just for giggles, I'm going to do the tar etc tar.gz. Oh, guys, if I extract a file and unzip it at the same time, it keeps the original file. If I wanted to, I could unzip it. I could do something like this: G unzip etc tar. At this point, it just uncompresses it, and I end up with a tar.etc.tar. I've lost my original compressed file, so I can tar a file, unzip it at the same time, and I can unzip and untar at the same time, or I can unzip first, then tar.extract verbose file.
File. You put G.
And I could do that. So I can uncompress it and unzip it in separate processes as opposed to doing it all at once. I prefer to do it all at once because it keeps the original file intact. So I'm going to copy this file over to the other system. SCP, copy this file to RHS2. I could put a username here. I could do student at RHS2, and I could do home/student and put it in that user's home directory.
Why did you ask you for the password?
Because I'm signed in as student. We set our
Oh,
password up as student
oh,
before.
no, no. I thought, yeah, okay.
Okay, so I can do SSH student at RHS2-C list alone. I don't have to go into an SSH session and stay there just to see a command. I could put -C to list the command. And there is my
It has to be capital C.
yeah, sorry guys. I can't do that file because remember I uncompressed it. I have to do etc tar.
Mine worked, but I actually created the zip through touch. I just wanted to try that.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But so I copied it. And there it is. I can also do the reverse. I can SCP. The source file is student at RHS1, sorry, at RHS2, home, student, etc.tar, but you can't tab through, you have to type. And I can put it in the temp directory. So I can copy a file from the other machine back to this machine. So it works two ways. Okay, so what directory am I in? I'm in my home directory. I'm going to tar compress file var.tar, and I'm going to do the var directory. Okay, so I just back up my var directory. Now here is a utility that gives you an interactive shell. So I'm going to connect to the other machine using secure FTP. I'm going to do it as root at RHS2. List pwd. You have a whole bunch of commands you can use here. So I'm going to do cd into temp. Then I'm going to put, guys, it's important because this is on the remote machine. When I say put and I put a file name in, that file needs to be in this directory. So I'm going to say put, what did I call it? var.tar. So it's going to put it in the temp directory. You have to be in the directory where the file is, or you have to specify the full path of what file you want to put, where you want to put it. I think it's easier to be in the directory where the file exists. So I can do a list. This is the list of my temp directory on RHS2. Guys, I'm using my hands to point to other machines and stuff you can't see. If I go out of here, I can do that directory. Okay, so I'm listing the remote directory and I can see that my tar file is there. Guys, I'm going to go to temp on RHS1. Now I'm going to go do a secure FTP to RHS2. I'm going to do root at RHS2. I'm going to sign in. I'm going to CD into the directory where I want to grab the file from. Or I could do the full path. I think it's easier just to CD in. So I'm going to get var tar. And it's going to copy it into my current directory on RHS1, which is temp. So I can put a file or get a file. If I wanted to, I'm in the temp directory. I could do something like make dir. I can make directories remotely. So it's kind of like a shell with copy built in. It's like me SSHing. I don't have a full list of all the shell commands, but I have a good portion to manipulate files. So you can go to another machine, get a file or put a file, and just copy back and forth. If you have to do a bunch of files, that might be the preferred method over SCP. Yeah, so they might have you copy files back and forth between machines. I'm going to make a directory on RHS1 called public. I already did. I'm going to make a directory called data. I'm going to put a file in there. Let me, guys, I can't remember how to use this command. I thought I could synchronize between two machines.
Rsync?
Yeah. Oh, I can. Okay. So I'm going to SSH root at RHS2 -c make dir data. So I have the data directory on both machines. I have a file in the data directory on RHS1. So I want to synchronize these two files together. rsync I believe that's an SV data.
I think it's A. That what's the S for?
Guys, I'm having a hard time seeing it.
Okay, yeah, it's A for all, and this will
V.
copy everything for the first time. If you want to resync, then you use update, U for update.
Okay, so I'm going to do RHS2 to,
Yeah, so we can try it like that, and then you can put another file,
or
and
we
then
can,
we can update.
or we can retouch it.
Yeah.
So this will copy everything from data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
So yeah, list it now.
so if I try to do an update, that's right, correct? Verbose, V is verbose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and U for update.
Okay.
Okay, touch it again and then do an update. So
Okay.
list it on 2 first before you update it, so we can see the update.
Okay. Yeah. So there's no
Yeah, I
word.
used to do that with Julia, remember? So that's why I remember. So list the data on Red Hat 2 right now before we update, just to see the timestamp.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to.
Yeah, there. Just, yeah, list it. And yeah, and maybe we can do yeah, we can try LD too. Yeah, that's fine. So, okay.
So nothing's really changed. So when I try to do an update, it doesn't really change anything because the
Yeah,
files are equal.
I know, but then hold on, but can you list the actual data so we can see that the file?
I just do that?
No, I don't see that on file. It just listed the directory. See?
Okay, so this didn't work.
Yeah, because I don't see the file. See? Data's on file is not there. And you said that it sent something, but I don't see the file.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna create SSH keys.
Yeah.
H key gen SSH copy ID. Okay, so I don't have to keep
SSH copy
okay, list
ID.
data.
Are you in 2? Okay, so lister. Oh, it did what? Is that a file? Oh, it copied your data folder into.
Wait.
See? Oh, it created a data folder into data.
Okay, so
Right?
one second.
Weird.
Okay, so I'm going to rm-rf data mkdir.
Oh, yeah, because so you didn't need to create the data.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's look at this.
Do you remove it? Yeah. No.
Oh, wait.
There.
Okay.
Yeah. You
So
don't need to specify. So you kind of created another data directory inside your data directory, right? The
right,
first time.
right. I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
I did it under data. So when you copy, don't don't specify the second layer.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so
So now retouch your file in Red Hat 1. So we see the timestamp. And then do the update that -u. The rsync.
okay, the timestamp is August 12:25.
12:25. Yeah. So now you do update there. And I think you can leave the A, I think. There. So it works. See?
Okay, so this did your initial, this did the update.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could
Yeah,
do
I
it.
think safe to do the -a because if I remember, I think the -a do permissions, do a bunch of crap. So it doesn't hurt to leave it there. The actual update is happening with the -u.
This is one of those old commands that has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't use it all the time.
I used to use it with that saved me when Kevin Carey he deleted a bunch of file and I had this as a script, I think, to run every night or something. So he was able to recover because I remember how initially you used to overwrite everything in Julia. So
Right?
then I changed it to this and I added a U so it would update. So if they delete something, they didn't, I wasn't overwriting. They can always go back to recover all crap.
Okay, guys, I'm not going to show you how to use Yum or install software. Um, let's go into chapter 15, partitions.
Wow, where we can really mess up our systems.
Uh,
We should destroy our lab at the end of it. Like mess it up as bad as possible.
well, that would be RF dash R RM dash. Um, don't run that now.
Yeah, just learn what not to do.
Okay. Guys, they're not really showing you how to create the partitions. They're just showing you how to mount a partition, but we're going to create the partition. So I'm going to go into SSH RHS2. Guys, I need to go on this machine because this is the machine that has the extra disk.
On the Red Hat 2? Okay.
Right. So list BLK, list block. You can see that virtual hard disk A is being used. I have some partitions, LVM, VDC through VDD are blank disk. So I'm just going to do a traditional partition.
So is this continue ls block? Is the same as Fdisk?
No,
No. So,
I'll explain what that is.
okay.
That's going to show you your hard disk.
Okay.
It's going to just show you your block devices. Because a lot of times
Okay.
you want to create a partition, but you don't know what disk is available.
Mm-hmm.
So list block shows you all your block type devices.
Okay.
As opposed to a serial device like a USB device.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we know what disk we're going to deal with,
So it's gonna skip NFS because that's file. That's a file.
Right. Because
Right. Okay.
it doesn't really, all we're doing is listing the devices, not the file system.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do Fdisk. And of course, you have to put the dev directory in front of it.
Dev VDV VDV. Okay.
Okay, guys, you can put M to print your menu.
Can I see that command again?
So I'm going to get Q to get out of this. So I'm going to vape.
All right, I'm up to speed.
Okay, so I'm going to put, guys, you can hit M to view the menu, but I'm going to hit N for new. I'm going to create a new partition. Is it going to be primary or extended? I'm going to do primary. You can have 4 partitions on this type of disk, a DOS disk, as opposed to an MBR. You can switch this to an this is an MBR type disk. I can switch this to a GPT and have more partitions. With an MBR, you can have 4 partitions.
Primary.
3 primary, 1 extended, or 4 primary. It's up to you. You can only have 1 extended. So 3 primary and 1 extended, or 4 primary. So I'm going to do a primary. Which partition number? The default, if I just press enter, is 1. It's asking where to start. Remember, the MBR takes a little bit of space up on the disk, so the next free sector is 2048. I'm just going to hit enter for the default. Now I can specify the sector I want to end at. I don't know who does that. You need to get a girlfriend if you do that. Or I can specify a certain size. Or I need to just press enter and accept the full disk.
Yeah. Are you doing the full disk?
I did the full disk, and you know it's true what I said.
I know. You think I'm not a guy?
Okay, and I can do 2 things. I can hit Q to write, Q to quit and not make any changes. Or I can hit W to save my changes. W stands for write. In the past, you had to run a command called part probe.
Part probe. Yeah.
But
That's deprecated?
I don't know if it's deprecated. I think the command still exists, but I think Fdisk automatically does it for you now.
I know, because it says it's rereading the partition table, and that's what part probe used to do also, right?
Yes, so
Yeah.
I don't think we need to do it. Okay, now guys, if part probe generates an error because you have a DVD drive in your system, that's normal. Okay, because it tried to read the DVD drive. There's no DVD in it, so it generates an error. So just be aware of that. So now we have this partition list block. I can see I have a partition now because your partition is a block device as well. I could do Fdisk.
BB1, yeah, BB1, BB.
I could look at the disk here as well and see that partition as well. Now I need to create a file system on that partition. Guys, I'm just going to create a traditional file system. So I'm going to do mkfs dot, I'm not creating an LVM file partition is what I'm saying. Dev vdb1. That's like FAT32 NTFS. It's the file system. So guys, I'm just going to mount this to data to keep my life simple, but you can give yours a label with an uppercase L. You can use xfss_admin, and I can do this is not a requirement, but it's more of a convention. Generally, you take labels and assign them the same label as where you're going to mount it to. So I'm going to mount this to data, so I'm going to make it a label of /data.
Do you have to create the mount point before?
No, I'm just labeling the partition.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing this. Here's what I'm doing. Let me show you.
Oh, like in Windows when you do the, okay, Windows, okay. Minus label, okay.
Lowercase l allows you to see the label.
Visual DB1.
And you can actually mount by label.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I can test mount this. I could do mount dash type is XFS. I can put, I want to say label.
But then you need the mount point. Oh, are you gonna do it to a
Data. We've already what event is saying is make sure you do this.
Oh, we already have a mount called data. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do mount dash type is XFS as opposed to ext4 or ext3 FAT32. I'm going to do label equals data. That's the label we assigned to it, and the mount point is data. I can do umount data to unmount it. I can mount by block device. Dev VDB1. That will work as well.
It's more typing with the label.
It is, but I'm just making you aware. So I can do block ID dev svdb. What is it? 1. I can do by UUID. So I'm going to copy this just to save me some typing. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to bang UM. And then I'm going to do mount dash T XFS. Paste that in there. Data. So I can mount by block device, I can mount by label, or I can mount by UUID. How do we get the UUID? Remember, list block and block ID. Those are two important commands. I'm stressing it because I always forget them. Okay, so guys, this is not permanent. If I reboot this machine, it's gone. So I want to make this permanent. So I'm going to edit this file. How do you pronounce that?
FSTAB?
Right, which stands for?
File system table?
Right. Okay, so I'm going to, are we with me? Can I press enter?
Yeah.
I think we lost Will. We literally lost him. So I'm going to first do by
Device.
block device. I'm going to try to keep this aligned as much as possible.
Visual DB1. Data. FS. Brian, remind me those those value for default, the 001 is for, I know it has to do with the boot time, right? The 00, you can change it to 01.
One is, am I talking? Oh, yeah, okay. One is for doing like a check disk, and one is
Oh,
for tune.
okay. So 0 is the default. 0 doesn't do any this checking, right?
Correct. Listen,
Okay. So 1 for this check and 2 for tuning.
I can't remember honestly.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
but listen, if you have a 64 terabyte disk,
Yeah, you don't want to do check disk.
because it's going to do that when it boots up.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of a production, you're in the middle of a workday and you have to reboot a production system and it
Yeah.
takes 4 hours to boot because you're doing check disk or
Yeah.
tuning it, you're just going to get the sweetest old lady from church cussing you out like a sailor.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to escape out of this. Hey, you know what I saw not long ago walking down the street was Vicky.
Really?
Yeah,
Did she fake it when she saw you? The walk and
she
everything?
she didn't see me. I'm gonna I'm gonna exit out of
Are
that.
you saving that or no?
I did, sir.
Okay.
So I saved it. I'm gonna do WQ to exit. Are you in Pico or Nano?
Nano. I'm always using Nano.
Okay.
I'm used to
Well,
Control X.
I don't know if they're gonna have Nano on the test. Be aware.
I don't think so because when I went through this, the editor, they just covered VI.
Yeah. So I think they're going to remove Nano from the system.
Every single Linux machine I've ever installed had Nano automatically on it, though. That's what makes me think otherwise.
They're going to block it on the test. They're going to remove it.
I got a boot camp VI in that case.
Yeah, you gotta listen. Just no IOPYDX, just the common ones.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can always do
WQ.
man VI, right, and find out what I need to do. Although that'll take time.
No, just do VI cheat sheets. Just do a VI cheat sheet on Google. There's a chart. Okay, guys, now I can do a mount, but I don't have to supply any information. What this is going to do is it's going to read the CFS tab for the missing information, which has two benefits. It's less typing. It's also going to double check to verify you have no typos in your CSF file. If you have a typo here, your machine won't boot. So you need to be careful. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to comment out this line. I'm going to YYP to paste it. And I'm going to comment out this line, but now I'm going to do it by label. Can I save?
Hold on. So you copy it and you change the label for the device. Okay.
I'm behind, but I think I'm far behind, so I'll just follow along.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to again bang mount, and it mounted no problem. Guys, DH-F dash H, maybe not, DF-H
Yeah, DF minus H. Yeah.
will show you if you're mounted, or you can run the mount command. The mount command alone, it shows too much data, but you can do mount and then grep for data. Okay, but
So when you mounting by label, you do the same, right? Mount a slash data.
right, because it's going to read the SF tab to know all the missing information. It
Yeah.
doesn't know,
Okay.
So
So you do the same command. Okay, cool.
okay, so I'm going to U-mount it, and then I'm going to go back into FTFS tab.
But it still lists the block device when even if you mount it as label,
Right,
right? Okay.
right. All that is to tell the system how to get to that device. But it's
Okay.
always going to mount by block device.
Okay.
Okay, now, guys, they're going to want you on the test, I believe, to mount by UUID. Okay, so be aware of that. So if you can remember that UUID of that device, more power to you. Okay, but I'm going to hit colon R bang. Not only does that allow you to run a shell command, but it copies the output into your document. So I'm going to do block ID to get my UUID for VDB1, and the label, that S stands for label, because let me go back out for 1 second. Let me do this. Just stay right there. I'm going to do bang block ID for dev VDB1. It gives me the block device name, the label, the UUID, the type, and the partition UUID. But remember, we need the block device of the partition. So I'm going to do this. I don't want to see all that data. Sorry. I'm going to do colon R bang.
Before you continue, the R is for reading, so the bang is for copying.
No, the bang
It's for executing.
executing a shell command.
Okay.
The R means read the results from that shell command and insert it inside your document. So whatever you, like if I did R bang list, look what I put inside there.
Everything that was in the, yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go R bang.
Block ID.
The label that I want is UUID. Because remember, I had one called label, I had one called partition UUID. So I want that label called UUID. And not only do I want the label, I only want the value of it. I don't want the label title. I don't want it to say UUID equal. Sorry, I did that wrong.
Then you have to specify the block device.
I do.
Yeah.
So block ID dev v.
You put it before the options?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Okay.
One, the label I want is UUID.
And minus O.
The option is I only want the value, not the. Let me do that again, guys. I hit the up arrow. You know, you see how it gives you more information than you need?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, if my cursor was here, it would insert it right below that. So you need to be at the very end of the line. So once you have it inserted, go to an insert mode, type UUID equal data FS tab defaults 0 space 0.
You added the UUID, right?
Yes.
Okay. equal. Okay.
So I'm going to save it.
And then you do this, yeah.
I'm going to bang mn mou. No, I have to run it again. Mount data df-h. Let me just verify that this doesn't go into LVM. I think LVM is in the second book. Guys, what does this command do?
Update the man pages?
The
I
locate.
know. The locate, okay.
So guys, instead of doing a recursive search of your file system, which could be very disk intensive, and if it was a very busy file system with a database, then it might take a while to find that object with the find command. But what happens is when you install locate, it adds a cron job that says once a day, run the update DB, update the database. And so when someone does this, I'm going to query a database for the location of that file. I can specify only one. I want to find only the first one. You notice how it returned two files here? If you only want to see the first entry, then you can specify that. But let's say it's a new file and you can't use the locate because it's not in the locate database, or you
So
don't
the
have
locate is what? Locating the file, actually?
uh, right. So this command created a database, ran through the entire system, took all the files in the system and put it in the database.
Okay,
So when you run the locate command, you're querying that database to find that file.
okay.
Okay. So it's just kind of like an index of all the files on your system.
But, okay, but this is redundant because you know the location by specifying exit password. Can you do something like without a full path?
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There.
Okay. Yes. I can. Okay. It's a Saturday morning, guys. Okay. But let's say you don't have locate installed, and by default it's not installed on most machines. I can do a recursive search of the hard disk by doing the find command. This says what directory to look in. So I'm going to recursively look through the root of the file system for a file with password in it.
So how different is locate from which? Because if you do we
That's
for the
different.
okay.
The which command will look in these directories for the
Mm-hmm.
executable.
Okay.
So when you say which, it's going to tell you if you ran that command, which one would you run?
Okay.
Okay, so the
Cool.
which just searches through the directories in your path variable.
Okay.
Okay, so you can find a command using the find directory,
Mm-hmm.
the find command. Okay, but now listen, guys. Back when I took the test, they had a massive file in there that you had to find. So you could do things like um, use wildcards. Now keep in mind, guys, even though I put a wildcard in there, I was still able to use a single quote. I could put wildcards before and after. Sorry. I forgot the end quote, guys. Sorry. So it'll find something with that. Let me do this. Touch Brian. Touch Brian. I could do find dash name.
In our case?
Case insensitive.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's what the minus I means insensitive. Yeah, because you can do the same in grep and so to ignore that case.
Right. Which is,
Right.
isn't that an I as well?
Yeah, so it means maybe the same, insensitive. Cool.
I can find all files owned by student. I can find all files by a group student. I can
Nice.
find all files by a UID or a group ID.
Nice.
I can find files where someone screwed up the permissions. So let's say in the home directory, I do permissions. I want permissions that are 755.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they shouldn't have 755 permissions. Um,
Oh, that's a cool option.
um, okay, here's a cool one. Put a minus in front of it. It's like the mask. I want to
Mm-hmm.
find all of the files that have the right permission turned on in the home directory for other. Since I'm not getting results for the group.
Cool.
I can find files based on size. One gig. 1 gig or higher, I believe. No, that's 1 gig. So if I want to do higher than 1 gig,
Class. Okay.
if I want to do lower than 1 gig, how many times have you downloaded a file or something and you don't know where you saved it?
Many times.
Okay. Find
Name.
files created 120 minutes ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Files created
Meaning,
over 120 minutes ago.
it does like M for minutes, right?
Yes. And less than 120 minutes ago. I could look for directories, types, I'm not going to go through all this. But the find command is one of those old school commands that is extremely powerful. A lot of times that's got me out of a jam when nothing else could. Oh, and you can listen. Um, what's that? Copy um, in out. Uh,
CIP, CPIO, yeah.
right, guys. That's how you could do backups. Copy input output. Um, you can use the find command to search for a certain directory, pass it, and then pipe it over into CPIO to do backups like that.
What about redirecting it to a file? Can you do that too?
Yeah, you can. Let's say we want to find all
So
files.
CPIO it will be the same as redirecting it to a file, right?
No, it's a little bit different than
Okay.
it's solely for our archive purposes.
Okay.
But it's archaic. It's difficult.
Copy
Yeah,
and from archive. Okay.
copy, input, output,
Mm-hmm.
and this would be easier. Again, I haven't done copy, so copy out file. This is the file. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is the directory I want to copy or name list. These are the files I want to put in that archive. So I'm redirecting my input, redirecting my output. So I want to take this list of files, which could be a file with all these uh, file names in it, and it'll put it in this archive. This will extract it.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is, instead of doing a list of files, you can use the find command and pipe it over there.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having some static list of files you want to back up, you can do the
Mm-hmm.
find command, find all the files you want, pipe it, it becomes the input, then this becomes the output. Okay, so um, most backup systems, like professional backup systems that you buy, uses CPIO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now listen, here is, I got to get the other book.
Seems like everything is just a UI for Linux tools, all GUI programs.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. This is the only reason Chris sat through this whole thing for 3 days.
For what?
For
For the CP.
No, for the how to get to a Linux box without signing in. Okay, so guys, I'm going to go back to RHS1. And I'm going to type exit, so I'm back at RHS1. I'm going to reboot. But guys, make sure your cursor is in this box. And when you get to the kernel line, press E. I'm going to go all the way to the end of this line. Be careful, because if you just hold down your cursor, it'll go too far. I'm just going to do RD break. And guys, give me 1 second to find this in the book after I check out the book again.
I have an article.
A what?
An article, like I think it will be more straightforward.
No, the book is very good in this.
Okay. Why is not rebooting? Oh, crap. I missed it.
Does anyone have the book open?
No.
I have it
Okay.
open. The main book, right? The RH2. Yeah. Where do you want me to go?
One second. I think I have a. I must have hit the wrong thing because I was trying to check out 1,109 copies of the book. I don't know how that got. Okay, so guys, once you get to this point, did you type the RD break?
No, it's in the Linux line, right?
It's it
After,
at the
after,
very end, right after
yeah,
quiet.
after quiet. Okay, hold on.
So what we're going to do is we have two kernels, guys. One that loads the second kernel. So we have one kernel with a file system that boots up read-only mode. Right here, you see the read-only mode that loads the other kernel. So what we're going to do is have a break at that point. We're just going to stop right there. So now I'm going to press Control X while I continue to check out this book. Control X. Control X will boot. Now we are not using our normal file system. We're using the file system. I'm still checking out the book. I'm going to do more. We're using the file system.
Sysroot.
That's part of that compressed file system. That's part of that kernel. Oh, right there it is. Look,
Yeah, sysroot.
right there it is at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is mount down O for option. We want to mount it in read-only, read-write mode because right now it's mounted in read-only, and we want to remount it sys root. Then we want to go to that directory. Tell me if I'm wrong here.
Don't you have to do a change root?
Do I have to be in the directory to do it?
I don't know. I don't remember. I'm not following the. Hold on. Let me
Okay.
look for that.
Let me pull.
Let me look for the file too, because you say you wanted to use the book, so. Oh, what did I put it?
Are you here, Chris?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. This is chapter 11 in the old book. In the book 2.
Crap, I can find it. I don't know where I put it.
One second. Let me. I can get to it.
Because I remember something about change root. And I thought I saved the link. Partitioning, LB, address.
What? I'm almost there. I'm almost at it. I just can't remember if I have to be in the directory or not. No, I don't have to be in the directory. So I'm going to go back to here. So now listen, we've mounted. This is our real partition that we use for normal production. Right now I'm in that RAM disk system.
Oh,
So I'm going to
cool.
change root.
So you changed to the sys root first?
I don't need to.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay, perfect. That's why I have a feeling.
So now my system thinks this is the top of the file system.
Mm-hmm. Change root, 6 root. Yeah.
So if I did password before I did this, if I did the password command, at that point, it would try to change the password on that RAM disk. But changing root, then doing the password command, change the password. At this point, I'm changing the password in my production partition and the etc password on my production system. Now, guys, this is important. Because we're using SE Linux, we could screw things up. So you got to touch in the root file system, auto relabel. If you don't do this, you could potentially make your system not bootable. It's just a blank file. If that file exists, the system knows to go through and relabel everything for SE Linux. Guys, in the book, I don't think it tells you, but if you just type exit, what will the first exit do? It's going to exit out of change root.
Mm-hmm.
What will the second exit do? Reboot. Now it's doing the relabel.
But you remember you said you needed to do logout?
Or log out.
Yeah.
You have to exit out of the chain,
And then logout.
or
Yeah.
exit again. 2 exits.
Okay, so you can do 2 exits or exit and logout.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember you mentioned that at the beginning of the Ansible thing, and the article that I found that the guy uses exit and logout.
Yeah. And the thing is, it will work,
You
but
mentioned something about the importance of logout before.
or exit. Exit will do the same thing. But
Okay.
no, I don't want you to just power off the machine. You have to log out, whether you use exit or log out. But don't just
Okay.
power off the machine and repower it on.
Yeah, but also exit will do a reboot, right?
Right. But
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want you to think type exit once and you can. What happens if you power off the machine after you type exit only once?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's different. It won't do the relabeling.
It'll do the relabeling, but remember, you mounted your file system in read-write mode. So the files that
Oh,
you have might not be synced. Guys, when you put in a thumb drive in a Linux box and you save a file to it, it doesn't save it to the file. It doesn't save it to the thumb drive immediately. What you have to do is run this command. So before you pull out your thumb drive, because especially if you don't have any graphic environment um, where you can eject it properly, you have to run sync. So it'll sync that file you just wrote to the actual device.
mm.
So if you mounted a file system, especially with that little RAM disk, in read-write mode and made a change, uh, it probably won't save that change. So logging out always forces all file systems to sync.
Mm.
So a proper logout. So if you had a thumb drive and you saved a file to it and you logged out, it sunk the hard drive or thumb drive for you. So guys, when you do the RHCA exam, I guarantee you they're not going to give you the password. You're going to have to do this to get the password, based on what that guy was saying at the beginning. You don't have Google. You have man pages, info pages, and help. That's it. And every guy I've taken a Red Hat test with from the Red Hat Corporation has been the meanest individual you've ever met in your life. Everyone is an idiot to them. That's how they treat everyone. And the test is not forgiving. It's all done by scripts. They won't even let you see the results, so you don't get angry in front of them. They wait till you leave the area before they tell you your results. Okay, guys, that's it. As far as the boot camp is going, uh, guys, I would try to schedule it relatively soon. Maybe go through the book one more time, really understand what you're doing, and then
I need to
schedule
go
that
through this
test.
last part again.
Uh, yeah, it's chapter 11 in the second textbook. That's probably not going to be on the exam, but the guy mentioned it, so I wanted to show it to you. What else did I want to?
Didn't you just say it was going to be on the exam?
I don't know. I don't know. But the guy mentioned
Yeah,
it.
I think he was talking. Honestly, I thought that he was talking about the Red Hat administration. You know, the RHSA or something. I think that will cover, like, the the two books, and because I think the RHC will cover Ansible too, right? The three books that we have. So that was my impression, that he was talking about the two books when he mentioned the root password, but I don't know.
So
It
what's
was
the
breaking for
test
me. So
we got
I'm
the
not sure.
voucher for?
It's called a preliminary exam. It's just for RH 124. But here, Vet, I've never heard of a Red Hat test that didn't have a break fix. So um, you're going to have to find a file that is big or something, um, or password reset. They're going to break the system somehow.
Yeah.
So before you even get into the test, the system generally is broken. Now listen, 5% of the hard disk has to be reserved for root. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't fill up the hard disk more than 95%. So if they put some big file in there, you need to delete it before you can sign in to do the test. So
Mm-hmm.
you can only sign in as root to do that test, to get rid of that file. And then once that happens, uh, you will then be able to sign in with the normal user and take the exam.
And if it's deleting that big file, are we doing it this way, that we had to mount and edit it and?
No, in a case like that, you can sign in as root,
Mm-hmm.
use the find command to find a big file and delete it.
Oh, okay, and delete it before. Okay.
Then you can sign out as root and sign in as a normal user.
Cool.
Okay. Um,
Because that even with the file system almost full, root still have that 5% that you mentioned reserve, right? So it allows him
sign in.
to sign in, but
Root,
regular user won't be able to sign in. That's what
correct.
you say. Okay.
Correct. Guys, and if they have their interface name static or some special name, you stick to their name. Don't do what I did and stick to the device name. Whatever name they want you to name the interface, um, the connection, you can stick to their name. I kept my name to match the device, but they might want to call it static. They might want to call it home. They might want to call it
Yeah.
public. Okay, so when you do the connection name part, make sure you stick to their name that they chose. Um, guys, I think you guys are used to doing skills based tests, so that's not going to get you nervous. I think a lot of people who didn't do the test, didn't do well in the test, were just too nervous. They weren't used to, um, doing skills-based tests. I don't think any of you guys are going to um, be nervous. I think that was a big thing. So guys, for the other people in the club, we still have to do roles. Um, when I did the class, I gave them a wimpy option. Um, so I don't want to do the end of the Linux club the following week just because it's the first week of class. So I want to meet with you guys the following week after that just to show you the role and then have you try to do this one assignment where you have to create your own role from scratch for the
You're
Ansible
talking
stuff.
Ansible, right?
Right.
Okay.
Wait,
So
when
this is the
sorry,
end for the boot camp, and next Saturday we meeting for the regular Ansible classes.
Not the next Saturday, the Saturday after that.
Okay.
you're
Cool.
talking about for the next semester classes or another boot camp?
Uh, uh, Eric, when I taught the Ansible class with you, I had to learn Ansible. And whenever a new product comes out, what I do is I get some students together and we learn it as a group. And that's what I did with this group, um, with Chris, Yvette, Will, and some other people who kind of dropped out over the time. Um, so I still have to do the roles chapter with them.
Oh, so do you do that with students that are done with their curriculum, or do they
I,
just tack it on their classes?
I do it with students that uh, just have an interest in it.
After I graduate, could I do it?
Yeah,
Just
like a vet graduated years ago. So yeah, you can do stuff like that, you know. And if you're interested in stuff like that, I'll try to remember you and send out an email when I do the next one.
alrighty.
Okay, so Eric, please keep me informed as to how well you did. Don't let the voucher go to waste. Will, you're kind of quiet in the background, but same with you. Um, Will, if you're listening, how's the job hunt going? Did you get a employment?
I think Will's in the bathroom somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah, that's a shame because you're too talented for this. Um,
Right.
Update your LinkedIn, Will. Yeah, Yvette.
No, go ahead. I let you finish.
Update your LinkedIn with any certifications that you have and add me to LinkedIn and try to start getting connections through LinkedIn. See if the bots will find you. You got to be very aggressive, Will. Start sending out resumes. You're sometimes you're a little too passive. You need to be more aggressive. You have the same disease my son have. You're both too nice.
If you do at least 3 a day on ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and Glassdoor, I found that within a couple months you'll start getting continuous calls.
Bet, what were you about to say?
Remind me the purpose of the change root command.
Because when we boot up into that RAM disk, because remember
Mm-hmm.
we have two kernels we load up. One
Okay.
kernel has a RAM disk, and it is used to load our big kernel. That
Mm-hmm.
RAM disk kernel doesn't have all the device drivers and everything like that. It's a really small kernel, and the only
Mm-hmm.
purpose of that kernel and that file system is to load the real kernel.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're breaking at that RAM disk. We're breaking at that compressed kernel, that really small kernel.
Mm-hmm.
So if we try to run a command like change password, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
try to change the password in that RAM disk. By doing
Okay.
change root, you're telling your system, you're tricking your system into thinking that other partition is the root, that other folder that you said change root to is the
Mm-hmm.
root of the file system. So when we run the password command, it'll change this password. I'm going to type it. It's going to go here and then at this password file.
Mm.
because remember we said this is where your fake root is at. So it's going to look for a Etsy directory in there and a password. Because remember, the password command edits Etsy password, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you run this before you do a change root, it's going to run the Etsy password on that RAM disk and not the Etsy password. It's going to make changes to that and not the Etsy password under the sys root.
And it won't take effect if you reboot it, right? If you do it that way.
Correct.
Without changing root. Okay.
Correct.
So that you're doing it in like RAM, and as soon as you reboot, it's locked.
Right. That same procedure we did to change the password. Let's say you had messed up on Etsy FS tab and your system isn't booting. So what you can do is go to the Linux line, do an rd.break, boot into the system, mount the sysroot in read-write mode. Then I need to
fix my FS tab.
I can do it two ways. Like that.
Oh, cool.
Or I can
change root and
then do this.
Okay. Oh, got it. So the change root is actually CD is dual CD into sys root, right? / sys root.
It does, but it tricks. It says it's telling the system this equals that. So when you go into /, it's really going into sysroot.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Got it.
With Richard from the lab tech Richard, Will. Oh, that's cool. He's doing Azure stuff. Oh, that's good. I didn't know that. How are you doing it? Through Zoom or something? Or are you guys meeting up since it's a small group? Oh, is Lily getting involved in any of that stuff? She needs to get involved in that stuff too. You know, if she doesn't take advantage of it, you know, that's kind of silly at this point. Okay. Anyone have any questions? Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. So we won't meet next week for the Ansible boot camp training. We'll meet the following week after that. And that's it for this boot camp. Guys, please.
Why, do you have any plans for next Saturday?
No, if you notice that I posted on Facebook, I got my roof replaced. I saved the money. I paid for cash. In my garage, it messed up some of the drywall.
Oh.
So what happens is if you don't patch that hole, you have these vents under your soffit that will suck in air from outside and bring it into your garage. When it sucks in that air, it brings in moisture. And I need to stop that moisture going into the draw space.
Okay.
Yeah. You live in a condo, so you don't have to worry about roofs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have to worry about your own roof in your new place? Or is that
No, the HOA covers it, but
yeah.
they're horrible. I'm pretty much on my own with everything.
Yeah, me too. I have an HOA.
And what is your issue, Yvette?
Of what?
Like you said, you have an issue. You have to take care of it yourself.
The what?
With your house.
No. I say I have a HOA too.
Okay.
So everything external they cover, So I had to, for my insurance, I had to buy, they call it condo, insurance
Right.
or HO6, something like that. So they cover everything outside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, HOAs are expensive, but they keep the value of your house up
Yeah.
if they're a good HOA. I actually have a good HOA. It's only $60 a month. I can't complain.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's nothing. Wow.
but I have to do my own roof. You know,
Yeah. And painting and all that, right?
exactly. So if you guys want to come over next Saturday, I need to do some drywalling and some painting. So there's my party event.
Okay.
Uh,
I'll
okay.
do it for a certification.
Yeah, I don't pass certifications out, but okay, guys, listen, have a good break, and I will see Chris, Ray, and Yvette in 2 weeks. The rest of you guys, let me
Okay.
know when you've passed the test.
Okay. You're gonna remind us for the
Alrighty, I'm
anti, right?
going.
Oh,
Just
well,
in case.
wait.